Zoltan. Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me? Is the microphone working? Oh, yeah. So thank you, Zoltan. Thank you, Carlos, and all of Breda University of Applied Science. I was a guest here last year and was really thrilled by the spirit of this gathering. It's a very nice and intimate group of people. And I'm even more glad that I'm able to present some of the work that we do at Filmakademie here today. My name is Volker Helzle. I run the R&D Department at Animationsinstitut of Filmakademie Baden-Württemberg. And with me is Simon Spielmann, who is our principal engineer.
Hi.
And we will, I will cover the first half of the presentation, and Simon will then continue. So let's start with a few words on Filmakademie Baden-Württemberg and Animationsinstitut. Established in '91, it's a film school where you can study anything related to filmmaking, any course, directing, cinematography, screenwriting, and of course, animation. We have about 550, I think even now it's about 600 students in total, and 120 of those are in animation. Oh, and by the way, we're located in Ludwigsburg, which is north of Stuttgart in Germany. I forgot to say that. In 2002, Animationsinstitut was established as an autonomous entity of Filmakademie. That means we have somewhat other structures than other departments and also our own budgets. And Animationsinstitut is in charge of the education of animation effects producing, animation in general, visual effects, technical directing, and interactive media. Technical directing is actually a course that I ran through the last 20 years. I built it. It's on the technical aspects of filmmaking and immersive media together with my colleagues, and I just recently passed that on to my dear former colleague and good friend, Diana Arellano, who is now the senior lecturer for technical directing, and I'll get back to that in a moment later on. Yeah, we have our own department for research and development. It has historical reasons, and after this presentation, you probably have a good understanding where we come from and where we're headed at. There's a very strong link to animation, games, and visual effects industry because we invite teachers from the industry to give lectures at Filmakademie, but also because we run FMX and other events. Yeah, being a student at Filmakademie is very project-oriented. You're learning by doing. You can also refer to or academic or research work as applied research. And, of course, a strong link to regional and EU-level projects, which you'll learn about in a moment more. Filmakademie also runs FMX, a conference annually held in spring, this year from May 6th to 9th, and it's always in the week of the Festival of Animated Film in Stuttgart. So two good reasons, but this year is very special because we have three good reasons for you to come and visit us. So there will be the Virtual Worlds, XR Expo, and Metaverse Congress in the Porsche Arena and the Schleierhalle. If you know these venues, they are very large venues. That's where pop concerts are held. And the pre-registration for exhibitors and people to attend has exceeded all expectation. We'll be there as well. So many good reasons to be in Stuttgart in this week in May. All right, but now let's get really started on what we have brought for you today. I will introduce a bit to the history of virtual production at Filmakademie, talk about our current virtual XR projects, EMIL and MaxR, Horizon Europe projects. Then we'll take a look at a recent development for animation using virtual production methodology. And then we talk quickly about technology and sustainability options. Simon will cover technical equipment available at Filmakademie, some production examples, and then a bit more technical background on a framework that we've built in one of our recent projects. And finally, if time permits, we'll also have a live demo for you. Let's see. Okay, so quickly, this is a slide we use quite often because it shows quite well a bit of the background, and as I find, a very good definition of virtual production from three gentlemen from the Visual Effects Society as a collaborative and interactive digital filmmaking process that begins with virtual design and digital asset development and continues in an interactive nonlinear process throughout the production. Historically, we worked very close with Crytek around 2011, 2012, 2013. For those of you who do not know them, they're a game company located in Frankfurt, and they've very early on, with one of their founders, bought into this idea of using real-time technology for filmmaking and visual effects. So there was a very strong link in projects like Motherland and Dark Matter. And then the story continues that we had our first large EU project in a consortium with other companies. Foundry as the consortium leader here, Dreamspace was this project. And in Dreamspace, a lot of aspects were researched, but you will keep coming back to the VPET tools, which have their foundation in Dreamspace. Then we had the Source project, which actually was on AI for asset discovery and transformation. DNEG was a big partner there, but also Foundry was involved with some developments that you know now as Copycat. So yeah, this is a bit of the background. And of course, many student productions that used real-time technologies and aspects of virtual filmmaking that we haven't listed here because of the time. Now quickly, about extended reality, and a term that came up and kind of embraces all these technologies that we know as virtual, augmented, and mixed reality, and gives them a bit more of a wider scope for different applications. I personally think it's a great term. And the Commission was giving out a extensive XR call in 21 on innovation for media, including extended reality. And we were contributing with 2 proposals. Actually, the email proposal was led by me personally, even though we're not the coordinator in this project. And while working on that proposal, we also contributed to the XR proposal. So usually when you work on these proposals as a potential partner or as a partner in a consortium, and you have 2 running, you don't expect both to be accepted because the competition is very high. Fortunately or unfortunately, both got accepted, and they have the same runtime, which made me a very busy person in the last 30 months. So starting in 22, we had this situation that then we had to do both projects. And really quickly, these are big projects with a lot of tasks and a lot of objectives. I quickly want to pitch to you what these projects are. So first of all, EMIL, the European Media and Immersion Lab. Our consortium consists of 4 partners. Aalto University is the coordinator in Finland, and we have University of Bath in the UK and Universitat Pompeu Fabra in Barcelona, Spain, and Filmakademie. So the idea is to provide a physical and real XR lab and then distribute 5.6 million into third-party projects in the range between 250 and 500,000 euros. No loan, it's really money they can use towards their project, while relying on that infrastructure to run certain productions. So this was for XR in general. Many serious applications, medical, rehab is a big area in XR. But of course, Filmakademie had its focus on narrative, virtual production, XR. We also were able to create a lighthouse project on our own. It's a scalable location-based experience in VR with 4 players up to in a space of up to 9 by 9 meters. That's actually running an XR competition today at the New Images Festival in Paris. So if you look for something to do after this, or maybe go there. But also just to, I mean, you can go to the website and visit the different email projects. But later on today, Dr. Ian Biscoe will be here from Eindhoven Design Academy and Zach Leonard, and they'll present to you one email-funded project that's infrastructure for distributed virtual production, XRIT, and the production that came with it, which was done in 3 locations simultaneously. So that's more of a cascade funding project, a project that helps to stimulate and advance XR projects across Europe. The other project, MXR, is a consortium of 11. It's the mixed, augmented, and extended reality media pipeline. And that is more of a pipeline, open standards, open source project, and open access to data. And you can see their partners like Disguise, Filmlight, Ari, Improbable, Brainstorm. And Foundry, again, we have a long history with Foundry. And actually, I'm very proud because I just recently learned that Foundry announced a new product, a new stage. And a lot of the research that was carried out in MaxR under the codename Vision, you can look that up in the final reel, is actually work that now goes into this product. So this is really great to know. Okay, in a nutshell, now you know these two projects. And now I want to introduce you to a workflow that we worked on in MaxR using or developing a tool we call AnimHost, and then also a short film rendered with the Unreal Engine. And so quickly, what we want to investigate is the potential of artificial intelligence in animated film process. But beyond that, we also want to see if we can use virtual production methodology, especially the collaboration aspect, to break up these traditionally established ways of having static reviews in a review room, annotating things, but more into a collaborative space where people can really interact directly with the animation without disabling a final review step by an artist. And yeah, this is done with AnimHost, the tracer framework, and the Blender pipeline. I have a short video that showcases
AnimHost, a node-based application designed for flexible, artist-friendly, AI-powered motion generation. AnimHost is integrated into the tracer framework. Now, let's walk through a sample AI-powered motion generation workflow using AnimHost. First, we start Data Hub, setting the IP address to localhost for this application. Next, we launch AnimHost and load a pre-saved scene. This scene contains all the necessary nodes to facilitate smooth motion generation. The node setup includes network nodes, managing incoming communication from the target application to ensure seamless data transfer. Data processing nodes, defining the character structure and control paths. Animation generation node, the core of AnimHost, which loads a pre-trained neural network. With everything set up, we start Blender. We begin by importing the FBX of the character we want to animate. The same FBX must be loaded in AnimHost to ensure the validity of the generated motion. Next, we create a tracer scene, where we set up all elements to be transmitted over the network. A key component here is the control path, a series of objects defining position and look-at directions. This control path includes additional fields for timing information and supports user edits on its spline tangents. Once the scene is ready, we connect to Tracer, which transmits the scene state to AnimHost and requests a new animation. AnimHost then processes the scene, samples the control path, generates a dense animation for the selected character, and sends it back to Blender. In Blender, we can play back and scrub through the animation using the timeline. If the result is satisfactory, we can bake it onto the character for further refinement. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, yeah, so the important thing here to mention is that this is our pitch or an example on how we want to work or want to give a demonstration of how we think we want to work with artificial intelligence, because everything that's been used here in terms of training data, we created on our own, and it's fully traceable and fair if you want so. And also it enables an artist, because you've seen that in Blender, it's more or less like you get motion capture data in very dense data, but you can have a layer in between that allows an artist to interact. Going even further, if you have the time and the resources, you could create an artistically created motion data, which then would allow you to work on your own style. It's more utilizing AI power to bring it to the artist. And yeah, we created, to evaluate that, we created a short film, and we could use that workflow in a third of the shots and could speed up the creation time with that. And this is the trailer for the Survivor film. Very short, because it's a short film, but I mean, it's a minute 20 or something. I have it here if you want to see it, but it's not going to festivals right now. So tools are open source on GitHub, even though early stage, you know, it's not maybe on a TRL 9 level if you expect that, but also the training data that's been used has been published on our website as Creative Commons, and the assets for the Unreal scene have also been published. So the idea is really to get you access, and so you can play around with these things. My last slide is about tech and sustainability, a topic that I personally engaged a lot in the last years, and I'll also keep that very short with a lot of QR links for you if you're more interested in it. I actually couldn't agree more to what you said this morning, that real-time technology and artificial intelligence are fundamentally changing creative industries and the skill sets we need, but also the opportunities that these technologies give us. And especially when it comes to looking at our energy consumption and ways of reducing that. In 2022, we had a very early SIGGRAPH report on green screens, green pixels, and green shooting. And what we did was we measured the energy demands of our traditional offline set extension workshop, a returning workshop, in comparison to using LED walls. And astonishingly, it turned out that we only used about a third of the energy that we used for offline rendering. Later that year, 22, and then in 23, many more reports of that kind surfaced, which all come up to a somewhat similar result. And of course, let's not forget, that comes with a requirement of a different skill set. Last year in December, I was able to present a paper at the Educational Forum in Tokyo on sustainable VFX, and here we compare ray tracing to rasterization for the image synthesis. So we were able to reduce render times from 219 to 2.2 minutes, of course, with very optimized assets, but then also did a large quantitative study with a heterogeneous audience, and basically came to the result that the responses were very close by. So if you go to our summary webpage on sustainability, you can see these clips side by side. And I think the quality shows that if you know how you can create very high quality content with a massively reduced footprint in energy. Well, that's it in a nutshell, and I'll hand over to Simon.
Yeah, thank you, Volker. Well, yeah, still 12 slides to go and not that much time, so I will try to speed it up now, because we have so many stuff to tell. We can do this for days, I think. So before we start to dig into our tracer framework interns, let's go back a step and have some look about what our students basically do with virtual production and XR technology. So for this, I brought this video here, and let's see what they have to tell you about this. It's running.
So we're on the set of Cyber City Love Story, and specifically we're on Mars in a way.
Basically, it's a teenage love story about a girl who lives on Mars.
There was always this thought that we wanted to use this technology of the LED wall.
We can't afford to fly to Mars yet, and back especially. So yeah, at the end of the day, the goal is that you extend the set and you build worlds that aren't possible to build.
This is a transmedia project where we tell a story by film, but then we are switching to a VR headset and we continue the story in another dimension, in the so-called Cyber City.
Right now we are in the R&D studio where we shot the short film for the set extension workshop. The LED wall helped the actress to see actually the tree on the screen, and I don't think it would have been possible to act that accurately if she had been in front of a green screen.
If there's a light change on set, you have to like adapt to the light change, and to actually match it, that's also like a really hard part.
Challenging is making sure it runs fast and it can be rendered in real time, and especially in a very high resolution on the LED wall.
I need to build it exactly like it needs to be because they had it already in 3D.
Research and development department was like such a great working together. They always checked in. When we had questions, we could always text them or call them or step by.
I think in terms of research and development, Filmakademie as a film school is really standing out. We have a 10 by 4 meter curved LED wall setup here in our studio, and it allows us to make sure that our students and staff understand what it means to work within these LED volumes, what the technical challenges are. And then of course virtual production has been a big aspect for many years at Filmakademie. So we want to make sure when you come to Filmakademie, you have the opportunity to engage with these technologies and what they mean for you as a creative person.
Okay, let's continue here. Okay, some words about our typical setups we have here. So since 2020, we are also renting LED walls we are typically placing in our huge studio. So the biggest one has a size of 22 by 90 meter, and the LED wall is rental, not a studio. And then we are dealing with walls in a size of 4 by 10 meters typically, and then a ceiling like here, for example, by 5 meters with a wider pixel pitch to have the capability to have more lighting here on set. Yeah, some interns, so using typical cinema-style syncable cameras like the Sony Venice or Venice 2 or Alexa Mini F. For camera tracking, we are using OptiTrack mocap system, 24 cameras, which enables us to basically scan or track the camera within the whole studio. For situations where this is not possible because of shadowing and obstacles and stuff like this, we also have an NCAM Mark II system. Of course, we're rendering with Unreal Engine 5 so far, and everything is then synced with an internal house clock, because otherwise, you probably notice you run into all sorts of problems with artifacts in the image. Like I said, this is a rental, and typically for 1.5 month per year at Filmakademie. Next to this, we also have a fixed installation, which is available the whole time. We call it previous stage because it's just in a smaller room, 10 by 4 meter. It's for teaching and smaller projects, totally fine. In there, we have a roughly 4 by 2 meter LED wall, and a small OptiTrack as well, mocap system installed there. So far for what we are dealing with here technical-wise. Let's go on, and you already heard it in the presentation before. We are running the set extension workshop. I would like to line it up here a little bit more because it's the first time that the courses, cinematography, production design, and animation and visual effects come together and create a small project. So students developed their story and a visual concept for a live action shot with a digital set extension. So we are doing this workshop way longer than we have LED wall setups at Filmakademie. It goes back, and it still is taught the classical work with green screens and blue screens on set. But yes, since the last years, we are also running it with support of LED technology. And here's some impressions of how this typically looks like. You already saw it in the video before, but then everything is wrapped up, and then the whole studio is turned into the Mars or whatever you would like to see. Here is a video which I personally find really nice because it demonstrates a little bit the process of how all this technology comes together. I assume you're experts and already know this, but I show it anyway because I really like it. So it's like calibrating your mocap system, placing the 0 point, putting the camera into the scene, placing real set elements, aligning the background, cleaning the Mars, lens distortion, some correction in lighting, and then you fill it with some fog, and then you see nothing anymore. But now, at the end, this is the shot directly out of the camera, took from this exactly shot and set without any post-production or anything. That's also the reason why, by the way, the helmet looks like this a little bit funny. So welcome to Mars. It's a little bit stuttery, but this is a problem of the transfer here from the laptop to. It should be smooth anyway.
Nice plan.
Thank you. One more example from production 1 year later, Infinite Break Room. It speaks for itself, I would say. Also some examples of how these real and virtual set elements come together and then are coupled at the end. It was a really difficult shot here because they had a bridge which was real, and they're directly connected to a virtual part of this bridge, and then basically told that there is a seamless transition between the real and the virtual world here. Then also this coffee machine. Okay, so, okay, now let's go. VPAD. So, for that, this were the on-set stuff. Now let's go into more development stuff because we are also the R&D department here. So VPAD is the short form for virtual production editing tools. And we already started with the idea of VPAD 2013 in one of our first EU-funded projects. And meanwhile, it's way bigger. It's way more than just VPAD. But we typically start at presentations at the point of VPAD because out of this idea, a whole framework you could use, I will elaborate about this a little bit later, started to grow. So basically the idea was to have something like a open source framework or a tool open source which enables you to have a remote control at a virtual production set. So this is where we started. Then later on, we realized this as a prototype, and then later on we came up with the idea, okay, now we have a prototype that works, but we really would like to have something more. We would really like to have something like a framework in the background which you can use to develop something like this tool. And out of this idea, we basically created Tracer. So, but before we go into Tracer, let's start easy with a small introduction what VPAD actually is and how does it look and feel. So here's a small video showing how we integrated the VPAD remote control idea into Unreal workflow.
And I've been working in the implementation of VPAD for the Unreal Engine. Today we are at one of our studios, and behind me is a LED wall so we can test some of its functionalities on the big screen. VPAD is a tool for editing your scene in real time. It has several features that makes collaboration and virtual production more accessible. It runs on mobile devices with an interactive lightweight version of your environment. By touch or with joysticks, it's easy to transform and control your assets. It's also possible to simply point where you want your object to go, to quickly and intuitively customize your scene and check how elements are interacting together. Another feature is the ability to connect an object to your view, so you can physically move around and place that object where you want it, in a more practical way. VPAD allows you to navigate your scene to better locate.
Okay, stop this here because we don't have that much time. So, so basically, that's the whole Tracer framework, and let me elaborate on this. You have seen that you have something like a remote control which holds in some way a scene that is similar to the scene you have in your Unreal Engine. But this is just the starting point. This is, like I said, where we started. In the meanwhile, it's way more. It's VPAD as this remote control, but you can think of it's not just a remote control. It's a shared session. So everything you do in Unreal or in Blender or in any other DCC tool is reflected onto your tablet. And everything, or your client, a client could be a PC, could be a tablet, could be your mobile phone. And everything you do on your mobile phone is then also reflected onto all other these clients, Unreal, Blender, etc. Next to this, it's not only manipulating scenes, it's also recording what you have done, store it in a hierarchy. It's also scene transfer. We also have solutions to break down the scenes. Of course, they need to be optimized in a way, or you need to take care that you have a version of your scene, of your asset, which can be run on a mobile phone. Yeah. So, of course, it will not work to have a high quality, ultra high complex Unreal or Maya or whatever Katana scene where you have billions of triangles and then transfer it easily to your mobile phone. But you could have something like stand-ins or simplified version of it or LOD or something like this. This is then transferred, and everything you do on this phone or on your client is then reflected back. And that's the idea, and we come up with an idea which we call Tracer, this framework, which enables you to use the examples we have in there to bring it directly into your virtual production or XR production, but you can also easily extend it. If, for example, there is no Maya or Blender client, then you could use this API to write one. It's basically at the end just a plugin. And then this data hub called box here is basically this communication infrastructure, which has another advantage because it's network-based. This means everything you do can be transferred around the globe. So your DOP can be in Greek, and your director can be in Germany or in the US, wherever you want, and they can collaboratively work together in one scenery. They can stand in a virtual production environment, they can be at home, on their tablet, whatever you like. And then you already have seen another example of how all this infrastructure can communicate with each other with the AnimHouse project, which is an outcome of the MaxR project with the idea to have, again, something like a sandbox you can write your character animation solvers for. So we came up, again, with just an example. We implemented one machine learning implementation which enables you to place a path on the floor, and then the system, based on trained data, which is in our case based on mocap table, can solve your animation and give you on the fly a biped animation out of this. But this is just an example. You can also write your own whatever animation creators. It can just play an animation file. It can be a typical motion tree solution or a more complex machine learning approach. It's completely open. Again, completely open. All the software, everything we show here is completely open and available on GitHub. And this brings me to our youngest development. We call it digital location. Okay, 5 minutes. So digital location is basically the idea to have a library of real assets digitally available. This is, for now, just a prototype. We also published and already scanned real existing locations. You see it here, that's in Ludwigsburg and Stuttgart, two really nice sets. The whole project is a collaboration between Filmakademie and Filmkommission Region Stuttgart and the MaxR partners in this case. So now the idea is to have these as a service. You can just download all these locations, look through it, use it for previs, tech-viz, or even virtual production, if you like. Everything in the background is then based on our Tracer framework and delivered to you, to your virtual production facilities, to your tablets, wherever you want. We also support Gaussian splatting, but these are just details. So then maybe you ask, which partners are already using this? Yeah, there are, for example, the MaxR partners. Brainstorm is a company. They are developing softwares for real-time virtual TV sets since the 90s. They also picked up BPAD for remote control their sets for them, or they basically also implemented NDI video streaming, that you can stream and receive video streams, high quality in an industry standard to the system. And they also developed a poor man's tracking system. So you could use nowadays these tablets because they can track themselves with an inside-out tracking, and also can do keying and have a okayish camera inside, and you can stream this on the fly, and you have a tracking data, and with this you can basically position correct, integrate filmed people or obstacles into your virtual scene. Then Disguise, also a well-known company creating big setups for stages and virtual production stages and so on. They're also integrated into their render stream technology, which let them use their connection to Unreal also together with VPET. Then our developments, of course, we already spoke about this, and then University Hasselt also implemented a GLTF streaming approach for having more performant way of streaming assets into the system. Yes, then, yeah, please. We're still looking for people. There's the deadline for technical directing. It's been extended until May 15th. So if you want to add something.
I just wanted to add, because we're really coming to an end. How much more time do we have? 3 minutes. Here goes your live demo. Well, so maybe for the students who are seeking further education opportunities with a technical angle and also interest in XR and virtual production, technical directing, if you go through that course, I can guarantee you a very well-paid and secure job. It's true, really. The deadline has been extended until May 15th. If you want more information, visit FMX. There will be student projects, presentations, so you have a better idea. But the web is full of these presentation recordings. You can also come and talk to me or get more information on the website. And then, very importantly, Filmakademie in general, for all departments, is seeking an AI coordinator, a coordinator position for artificial intelligence. This position doesn't necessarily need to have the strongest technical background in knowing all the algorithms and the training methods, but a good understanding of how a film school works, how the departments work, and what the disruption for AI technology in general might mean. It's a full-time, on-site position, and the job position was live and will be again live, I think, end of this week. Watch out for that URL, or ask me. This is my email address, and all of the research projects and the work has been very well documented in our subdomain research.animationsinstitut.de. And that's the point where we actually would like to switch over to the live demo, but probably can't. So if the left side gives you a link to the, we'll not do the live demo, this is really the live side. But the left side gives you a link on an iOS device to the App Store and lets you download VPET. And the right side then, once you have it installed, opens a dedicated location, which is the demo that will show you in the cafeteria then afterwards. And just the last thing about the digital locations to be added. The digitalization of these locations is also an aspect that can help you reduce your CO2 footprint, because you might not require a full team to travel to a location, because you can scout out before you go there. You send a drone operator and get the footage and digitize it yourself. There's huge potential. We've presented it in a full week at Berlinale earlier this year, and there's a lot of interest in location agencies to get into these technical tools. They're very analog in many ways, but they're seeking this technological opportunity.
Yeah, that's big.
Okay,
wow.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Wow.